Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back again. It is Sunday, April 12th, and we are going to get into the news. Happy Easter to you all. I hope you're all doing well. So let's just jump right into the news. There's a lot. Now, I have gone through some of the stuff that I was going to bring. Some of it was old, so I just discarded it. But most of this is very up to date. So and before I start, I do want to thank the following people. Coffee donors, The Wonders We See. Now, I love that name. That is an awesome name. And Lloyd Thomas. And thank you, Lloyd, very much. And we picked up a new Patreon subscriber, Deborah Abbey, or I think that would be how you pronounce that last name. But Deborah, let me know if I got that wrong, because I don't like to butcher people's names. But thank you for subscribing via Patreon. I appreciate that. And thank you to everyone that supports this channel in one way or another. I very, very much appreciate it. It keeps me doing what I do, and I love it. So it's great. Anyway, let's get into the news. And we'll just start at the beginning because, well, that's always a good place to start. All right. And I just want to say, too, before I get started, I've been reading a lot about this and natural ways, natural antivirals. I've been taking elderberry, which I feel much better taking it, actually, for some reason, but and also zinc. And vitamin D3, but someone had suggested that there's quinine in tonic water, and I knew that, but I guess I never really thought about it. And quinine, of course, is what is in hydroxychloroquine. And so they said, well, if you take tonic water and zinc together, the zinc or the quinine opens the cell, and it allows the zinc to get in and destroy any viruses. Now, obviously, if you had COVID-19, I would not suggest you do that instead of seeing a doctor and getting prescribed the right medication. But I decided to try it. I'd never tried tonic water before because I'm not a drinker. I might have a glass of wine every now and then, but just not a drinker, and never have been, really. So I had never had tonic water before. And this is not what it looks like. It's clear, but I added some apple juice to it because, let me tell you, this is like drinking metal shavings. That's what tonic water is. Awful. It's bitter. I don't know why anybody would choose to drink it, to tell you the truth. I don't know if it gets better if you add alcohol. I guess after you've drank, everything tastes good. I mean, if you're drunk enough, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I added apple juice, and it's still nasty. It's less nasty with a little bit of apple juice, but still nasty. Okay. All right, so let's look at this. Dr. Fauci on CNN's Tapper show, earlier mitigation could have saved lives. Now, I think that this guy is just about as swampy can be. I think he's every bit in step with the big-time swamp people like the Clintons and Pelosi and all these people. I think that he fits right in. He doesn't seem to have any morals or values or anything else. So it upsets me because in a couple of the press briefings, he has signaled to reporters that have had very terse conversations or exchanges with the president, and or argumentative, whatever the case may be. However you want to describe it, they were not positive, uplifting questions by any means. And 2 times, Fauci has held back so that others could go on, and he would be the last one out. And he's turned and made, it was like this signal to the reporters. This has happened 2 times now. That to me shows me, aside from all the other evidence that I'm sorry, I just hit the microphone. Aside from all the other evidence that he is definitely deep state, this would have convinced me all on its own. But now he is actually saying that because he's in step with the deep state. We know that Schiff has now come out and he's having like I don't know what it actually is, but they're looking into whether Trump could, should have done things sooner or whatever, or if lives could have been saved if he had done this and that and whatever. So Schiff is just up to his normal self. And of course, Pelosi saying the same thing. And all the Democrats are mirroring this type of speech. Now it's showing up in the mainstream media. So we know that's where they're headed. They're going to try probably to impeach the president again. It's not going to be successful, but they're going to try again. And they're going to say that he did something wrong and he should have done this and this and this. Well, now Fauci, who is definitely deep state, has come out and said, yeah, earlier mitigation could have saved lives. So he is just going along with the false narrative. So Sunday on CNN's State of the Union, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Director Anthony Fauci said if President Donald Trump had listened to top officials who wanted the shutdown to begin in February, fewer lives would have been lost to the CV pandemic. Now, I think that's very interesting that he is now saying that. Why didn't he say it before? Host Jake Tapper asked, the New York Times reported yesterday that you and the other top officials wanted to recommend social and physical distancing guidelines to President Trump as far back as the third week of February, but the administration didn't announce such guidelines to the American public until March 16th, almost a month later. Why? Fauci said, as I've said many times, we look at it from a pure health standpoint. We make a recommendation. Often the recommendation is taken. Sometimes it's not. But it is what it is. We are where we are right now. Tapper said, do you think lives could have been saved if social distancing and physical distancing stay-at-home measures had started the third week of February instead of mid-March? Fauci said, Jake, again, it's the what would have, what could have. It's very difficult to go back and say that. I mean, obviously, you could logically say that if you had a process that was ongoing and you started mitigation earlier, you could have saved lives. Obviously, no one is going to deny that. But what's going into these kind of decisions is complicated. But you're right. I mean, obviously, if we had right from the very beginning shut everything down, it might have been a bit different. But there was a lot of pushback about shutting things down back then. Well, naturally, because any thinking, reasoning human being would know that shutting things down can cause more problems than the virus itself. Because if you're going to shut the whole country down and everybody stops traveling, the borders all close tightly, it's very difficult to do because there are, how can you shut everything down? You can't. You still need people to deliver groceries and do all that kind of stuff for one thing. And to shut absolutely everything down would have been complete collapse, and society literally, I think, would have rioted at that point, because at that point it hadn't really hit yet. It had a bit, there was a few here and there, but to shut the whole country down over a smattering of cases here and there, when back then it was mainly in Washington State in the nursing home, I think people would have had a difficult time with that. It's hard to tell people, oh, I'm sorry, you can't go to work. I know you're not going to get a paycheck, but at least you won't die of a virus. That doesn't cut it. So anyway, I think that this is ridiculous, all of this, because it's not helping the situation. It's not helping the situation we're in now, and it's not helping going forward. It's not doing anything except casting dispersion on the Trump administration. That's what it's doing, and that's what it's meant to do. Tapper said, okay, do you think lives... Okay, Fauci said, Jake, again, it's the what would have, could have. It's very difficult to go back and say that. I mean, obviously, you could logically say that if you had a process that was ongoing and you started mitigation earlier, you could have saved lives. Obviously, no one is going to deny that. But what goes into those kinds of decisions is complicated. But you're right. I mean, obviously, if we had right from the very beginning shut everything down, it may have been a bit different. But there were a lot of pushback about shutting things down back then. Well, yeah. So anyway, and there's still pushback about shutting things down. And to tell you the truth, if we only had a smattering of cases and Trump said, okay, we're shutting the whole country down, what do you really think would have happened? Then, okay, maybe the virus wouldn't have spread, but you also would have had people saying, oh, it's ridiculous. It didn't even happen here. And he shut the whole country down and I lost my job and no. Oh my gosh, it would have been a nightmare. And you and I know it. So anyway, let's go back and get to the next item because I've got a lot to cover. All right, now I want to show you if this is what I think it is. And it's not. But this is something, when I saw it, freaked me out. I'll tell you, and I don't get freaked out very easily. I really don't. But let's take a look at this photo. Okay, and I know you're saying, well, so what? It's a picture of Air Force One. Well, yes, it is. It is a picture of Air Force One. And here is Trump coming down the stairs. And here are the press people being kept back. All right, so, okay, if I take my cursor, and I know you guys are on your tiny phones, and I'm hoping that you can see this, but here is my cursor, and let's, over the crowd, this is the crowd of people, and, you know, the very tallest person is this person right here. That's the tallest person in the group, okay? But mostly people are, you know, down at this level. And then you've got this guy who's standing very, very close to them. And look at the height of this man. And no, this has not been photoshopped at all or altered in any way. Look at this. Here's three or four people right here. And those are their heads. And this guy. And this guy's definitely standing. He is the tallest person in the crowd. And look at where his head comes to. Yeah. I mean, now, I don't know if you know, I happen to believe that there were giants on the earth because the Bible says that there were giants on the earth and they have uncovered skeletons which have been covered up. But it's interesting because many people believe in the last days that the giants will return. And my gosh, if this isn't a giant, I don't know what is. Look at how tall that guy is. I don't know, but if anybody could wager a guess on how tall they think he is, I mean, he's head and shoulders above everybody. And, you know, even these guys down here they're pretty tall, but not like him. Like they're midgets next to him, really. So I don't know, but I wanted to show you that. I thought it was extremely, extremely odd. So make of it what you will. I know some of you will say, oh, it's a perspective, or no, it isn't. It isn't. I've got, you know, one of my degrees is in new media, graphic design. And so I'm used to doing art, and perspective is all part of that. It's not just the perspective. This man is unnaturally tall, and I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anybody that tall, ever. But apparently they exist. All right. Well, let's go back and get into the next thing because it's going to be gobsmacking. Well, maybe not gobsmacking, you know, but it's pretty interesting, if you ask me. All right. Why Ellen and Oprah, why are they wearing ankle monitors? I know, you probably say, no, they're not. Oh, yes, they are. Look at this. That, my friends, is an ankle monitor. Definitely. And I don't know why she would allow herself to be filmed like this, wearing these old baggy, what do you call those, sweatpants that don't do anything for her. But anyway, that is her prerogative. It's just that she's always dressed so nicely, so it kind of shocked me when I saw her like that. And so that's Oprah, and here is Ellen, and what do we have here? And I know people poo-pooed the fact because they said, you know, the one that I showed with it on her, it was more up here, and they said, oh, that's too high to be an ankle monitor. Oh, well, that's not. That's not too high to be an ankle monitor. So what is it? And there is the other one that I had showed you before with the monitor. She's wearing a sweatshirt that says "Run, Forrest, Run." And look at this. It says, I have some news. Now, this is an old tweet. This was in March 11th. But she said, I have some news. For now, I'll be shooting my show with no studio audience. To everyone who is looking forward to coming, I'm so sorry, but I'm doing this for the health of my fans, my staff, and my crew. It has nothing to do with a warrant for my arrest in the state of Florida. Well, I don't know about the warrant for her arrest in the state of Florida, but I'm telling you that it's kind of strange because Alec Baldwin is then, you know, sitting in and doing her show. Well, if they're so worried about the crew and everybody, why are they still doing a show? I'm just saying. So anyway, and this is a close-up view of that ankle monitor, which is definitely what it is. And here is Oprah here. She looks good, but my gosh, she's wearing these sweatpants and a bra that she is absolutely spilling out of, and it doesn't even look like her outfit is clean, which, yeah, I find that odd because Oprah is always dressed impeccably. I mean, impeccably. So, yeah, it's odd to me. And the sweatpants are showing, you know, cellulite and stuff, and you know, the thing is, she always dresses appropriately for her size and shape and everything, and it just surprises me to see her in a pair of flesh-colored you know, sweatpants that don't even appear to be clean, and a shirt that she is definitely spilling out of, unless she has something around her neck and it's showing through. I don't know, but anyway, and down, let me see, where is it? Yeah, this is the same picture. I guess the ankle monitor would be here, or I'm not sure if it's on the other foot, but this is the full, another full picture taken at the same time. What she was doing, I don't know. Why she would want to be seen like that, I don't know, but it's very odd that all these celebrities are being shown. I mean, Oprah's hair and everything looks great. She looks like Oprah there, but a lot of them, no makeup. They look like they've aged 10, 15, 20 years overnight, and just look awful. I mean, look at the way that Ellen was dressed, and she's always dressed impeccably. So I don't know. And I know people are at home, but I mean, when I'm at home, I put on matching clothes. I put on appropriate jeans that aren't too tight or too baggy or what. I mean, I think most people do. I mean, I know a lot of people just pull on a pair of sweats and whatever, and that's fine too. But if you know you're going to be on camera, wouldn't you take more care, especially when you're a face that everybody in the world pretty much knows? Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Maybe not, but I think it is. All right, so let's go back and let's look at this. Now, riddle me this, Batman. Why on earth would the CDC remove information about hydroxychloroquine from the website? Why would they want to do that? Why would they want to do that? Let me see now. Could it be that hydroxychloroquine it costs what, about 10 cents a pill to make? Maybe they just can make more money by making a virus and making a vaccine and making everybody take it. Or perhaps that V kind of fits in nicely with their plans for tracking us all. I don't know, but I'm just curious as to why on earth the CDC would remove some information about hydroxychloroquine from website. Well, a federal health agency removed several paragraphs of information about hydroxychloroquine from its website, including recommended dosing information. And I guess, okay, I have to log in here to, this really ticks me off. Anyway, I'm not going to do that, but I want you to know that they have removed that from the website, the information about hydroxychloroquine. And I find that highly, highly suspicious indeed. All right, let's go on now. And let's look at this. I can't remember what this is, but I hope it's good. I hope it's something great. Oh, yes. Trump, nobody could have seen this coming. Oh, really? Obama did in 2014. So why didn't he prepare?
May and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly. And in order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment. And we're further along to be able to catch it. May and likely will come a time in which...
Yeah, so isn't that interesting that he noted like a type of flu, and he's saying that we need to prepare for this, and yet he apparently gutted the the healthcare system, or the I'm not sure, but he got, I don't know. I can't really talk about that intelligently because I've just read it in passing and I can't absolutely remember but he left, I don't know. Was it the ventilators that he got rid of or something? I don't know. But if you guys know what I'm talking about, comment in or put a comment below, because Obama, they're saying nobody could have seen this coming, but Obama obviously did. And so why didn't the government prepare? If they knew it was coming, right? I'm just saying. And I don't think it has anything to do with Trump, but I don't know if Trump knew about this or knew that something might be coming. I don't know. I think that if he did, he would have taken steps personally to ensure that we had everything that we needed materially, like ventilators, which they're now discovering can do more harm than good, and ventilators and masks and personal protective equipment and so forth. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. All right, and let's look at this, because talk about pestilences and diseases, and 2 new generations of locusts are set to descend on East Africa again, but this time 400 times stronger. Now, this is from 2 days ago, April 10th, but it's unbelievable, because they have trouble feeding everyone as it is, and these locusts come in and they just devour the crops. Literally devour them. Like before, like there's green in front of them. By the time they've passed over, there's nothing left. Even the leaves on the trees, there's nothing. They eat everything. So this is very concerning, to say the very least. The locust WhatsApp hotline has been pinging nonstop as farmers and herders across large swaths of rural Kenya send in video clips of massive swarms flying overhead, blocking the light of the sun like a biblical plague. This infestation of desert locusts first arrived in East Africa last June, feeding on hundreds of thousands of hectares of crops and pasture land, and chomping a path of destruction through at least 8 countries: Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea, Djibouti, and Sudan. Scientists say these devastating insects never left East Africa. In fact, favorable wet conditions due to above average rainfall this season means they are likely to achieve 2 generations of new breeding by June this year, increasing their population size up to 400 times. East Africa already has 20 million severely food insecure people. Now that's a great way of stating food insecure people. That's not even worded well, but I think we know what they mean by that, who barely eat enough to fill their stomachs each day, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, the body responsible for overseeing the locust response. This new wave of locusts poses a serious threat to food security in a region recently devastated by conflict and climate change shocks, including extreme droughts and floods, and now anticipating a sharp rise in novel coronavirus COVID-19 cases. Farmers and pastoralists haven't gotten a break at all, said Keith Cressman, UNFAO's senior locust forecaster. Wow, could you imagine living in a country where you need a locust forecaster? Just saying. You think it's bad here? Seriously. Could you imagine a locust forecaster on the news? Well, there's a 80% chance of locusts today. Anyway, I don't know. The desert locust is a winged insect that travels in swarms, consuming almost every leaf of green vegetation in its wake. A typical swarm can consist of up to 150 million locusts per square kilometer. These insects move with the wind and can migrate as far as 150 kilometers in one day. Even a tiny 1 square kilometer locust swarm is capable of consuming the same amount of food in one day as approximately 35,000 people. The locust infestation originated in the Arabian Peninsula. In 2018, 2 cyclones dumped heavy rain on an uninhabited portion of the Arabian Peninsula, creating the ideal wet, sandy conditions the desert locusts require to breed. 3 generations of breeding occurred in 9 months, causing locust numbers to increase by 8,000 times and forming the original source of the East Africa upsurge that is still plaguing the region today. So, yeah, this in the light, the dotted area is the breeding areas. These are the areas to be infected. And I guess, where's the breeding area? I'm not sure where they're saying the breeding area is because they're pointing to the Red Sea, and that's not where it is. So anyway, this is, it says the swarms leapfrogged over the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden to the Horn of Africa. In Somalia, Cyclone Pawan's landfall in December 2019 triggered widespread flooding, coupled with above average vegetation due to good rains. This contributed to another dramatic increase in the pest numbers. The locusts moved west and south, reaching their zenith in Kenya in the early months of this year. Experts estimate they destroyed at least 30% of the pasture land they landed on in Kenya. Here, too, abnormally heavy rains wetted the sandy soil enough to allow the females to lay new eggs in January and February. Locust eggs take just 2 weeks to hatch, and wingless baby locusts, referred to as nymphs or hoppers, and as tiny as a pinky finger, cracked open their eggs on Kenyan soil during February and early March. The hoppers shed their skin multiple times, growing larger until they reach the size of a pinky finger, become adults, and grow wings. They band together into devastating swarms that take flight and begin feeding on vegetation. That's what's been happening in Kenya this past month. More and more of those hoppers have become adults, said Cressman. So these are made in Kenya. So, and then it's going through the life cycle of the locust. This is absolutely devastating. And this is what it looks like after they've been through. They eat everything. I mean, everything. I mean, obviously they don't eat homes and so forth, but anything green, any vegetation, they will strip the trees right down to the bare branches. So, let me see what it says here. But COVID-19 poses a challenge to control activities. Disruption to supply chains have stalled delivery of pesticide shipments, creating stockouts and shortages. Somalia is 3 weeks behind in receiving a shipment of biopesticides for locust control due to COVID-19 delays. Surveillance equipment, such as helicopters from South Africa, cannot reach East Africa because of lockdowns in countries where they would normally stop to refuel on their journeys north. If control activities fail and the locusts do not move out of the region, FAO fears that up to an additional 5 million people could become food insecure. They won't have enough to eat in East Africa by June of this year. And that's 5 million people going without food. You know that some of those are going to starve to death. They're not saying that, but you know they will. They have barely enough to eat as it is. So absolutely devastating. And, you know, again, just strange things happening the world over. All right. And let's come back here. Yeah, this annoyed me a little. No, a lot. It really did. Let's take a look here. New York Times investigates a Biden only finds inappropriate hugs, unwanted kisses, and uncomfortable touching. Only? In a transparent effort to support their nominee, the New York Times did an investigation of Joe Biden to evaluate the merit of the sexual assault claims made by Ms. Tara Reade, a former Senate staffer. As the Times outlines, last year, Ms. Reade and 7 other women came forward to accuse Mr. Biden of kissing, hugging, or touching them in ways that made them feel uncomfortable. Ms. Reade told the Times then that Mr. Biden had publicly stroked her neck, wrapped his fingers in her hair, and touched her in ways that made her uncomfortable. Obviously, the Times was not going to find their candidate guilty of any wrongdoing. However, the Times had to twist themselves into pretzels in their effort to protect their nominee. As people started laughing, eventually the Times had to delete their tweet. Yeah, and let's look at it, and you'll know why they had to delete it. This from the New York Times. This is what they tweeted. No other allegations about sexual assault surfaced in the course of our reporting, nor did any former Biden staff corroborate Reade's allegation. We found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Biden beyond hugs, kisses, and touching that women previously said made them uncomfortable. Yeah, I think they have a very twisted opinion or definition of sexual assault. If somebody comes up to you and kisses you and it's unwanted, that's assault. You don't do that. You don't just go up to a woman and start kissing her, touching her, smelling her hair. That's assault. It's sexual assault. These people are like, I don't know. I mean, does being evil just take all the logic and suck all the intelligence right out of your head? I'm wondering. I can't even believe they would tweet something like that. You kidding me? So basically they're saying, oh, no, there wasn't any sexual assault or anything. There wasn't any sexual misconduct. We found no pattern of sexual misconduct. Are you kidding me? All of the videos that are out there of him, actually rubbing the chest area of a child, inappropriate touching of children, smelling people's hair, kissing people without their permission, touching them. I mean, if that's not a pattern, I don't know what is. I mean, and it's not even like it's hearsay. We've got all the visual evidence we need. But, oh, no, there's no pattern of sexual misconduct. I mean, aside from hugs, kisses, and touching that made women uncomfortable. I mean, besides that, there wasn't any misconduct. You imagine if that was Trump? Can you imagine if Trump did that? If he kissed somebody without their permission or touched them or smelled their hair? Talk about a witch hunt. They'd be after him with stakes with torches on top, and they'd burn down the White House, probably. Anyway, unbelievable. So, yeah, that was from the New York Times there. So yeah, can trust that reporting, can't we? Yeah, yeah. Right. All right. Well, let's go back because there's more. There's always more. And this by Right Wing Vet. These pills, and this is hydroxychloroquine sulfate tablets, 200 milligrams. These pills can be produced for about 10 cents each. It's a cure that doesn't make anyone rich and doesn't give anyone more power or control. Now you understand the problem. That's exactly right. Nobody's going to get rich on hydroxychloroquine. It's going to make people well, but it won't fill pocketbooks, and that's the problem. Okay. Now, this is something that when I saw this, I went, what the heck? Do I believe it? No, not even remotely. Let's take a look. This is from Fox. Teen in remote Amazonian tribe tests positive
Researchers
for
at the University of
coronavirus.
Pittsburgh Medical Center are rolling out a rapid method to test multiple.
Okay, so the headline is this. Teen in remote Amazonian tribe tests positive for coronavirus. Now let's take a read. Maybe there's something in here that I've missed. A 15-year-old male from a remote indigenous tribe in the Amazon rainforest has tested positive for the coronavirus, Brazilian health officials said. Do I believe that? No, I don't. They don't have contact with anyone. So how would they get it? And they don't have doctors. So how would they have been tested? I mean, people here are having trouble getting tested. They have to beg and plead, and then a lot of times they don't get tested anyway, no matter how much they beg and plead. And yet somebody in a remote indigenous tribe in the Amazon rainforest got tested? Really? You don't say. Yeah. As of Friday, the teen from Yanomami tribe remains in the ICU at a hospital in Roraima State, Insider.com reported, citing the O Globo newspaper. Health Minister Luis Henrique Mandetta was quoted saying that the case is worrying, considering the tribe's isolation from the outside world. So here's one of two things. Either this is completely made up, which is what I suspect, or they're dropping that virus on us from above. Because what are the chances? This is a remote tribe. They do not have contact with the outside world. So what are the chances? I'm just saying, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Now, maybe, I mean, it's not outside of the realm of possibility, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. Now, it'll be interesting if others in that tribe get it, and they may if he had it, but it's either if this remote tribe in the Amazon rainforest, somebody gets COVID-19, then I would say that it's being sprayed. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, I have a difficult time believing this because it's just outside of the realm of what's logical. The teen reported having shortness of breath and fever, among other symptoms. Now, this is a very remote tribe that has very limited, next to no contact with the outside world, and probably doesn't even speak the language that they have their own language. So how is he able to report having shortness of breath and fever? The Yanomami tribe, which inhabits the Venezuela-Brazil border region, is estimated to have around 22,000 members on the Brazilian side. They have been photographed in recent years from the air. And this is them. That's their camp in the middle of a rainforest. You tell me how they got it. You think they're going to welcome outsiders? Craziness. The tribe has a vast botanical knowledge and uses about 500 plants for food, medicine, and building houses. Tribespeople provide for themselves by hunting, gathering, and fishing, as well as cultivating crops such as manioc, cassava, or yucca. I had plenty of cassava when I was in the rainforest in Central America, and I was in a very remote location. Anyway, and bananas, which are grown in large gardens cleared from the forest. Brazil currently has 18,397 confirmed corona cases with 974 deaths, according to statistics from Johns Hopkins University. Still doesn't explain how this person could have possibly have gotten this virus and how they were able to get to a modern day hospital. Do these people look, seriously, do these people look like they use modern hospitals? You know, and what did he do? How did he get out of the jungle? Did he just walk there? They don't have vehicles. They don't have horses and things like that they could ride. So what, did he just walk out of the jungle? Couldn't have been feeling that bad. I'm just saying. This is the most ridiculous story I've seen in a very long time. So anyway, you are welcome to believe that if you want. I choose not to. If somebody presents me with evidence to the contrary, I would most certainly revisit that and reconsider. But no, I don't believe it. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments below and whether you believe it or not. Now, this is important. It has to do with Trudeau, but what affects us? What affects one affects us all, apparently. So, Supreme Court hearing regarding unsealing Toronto police files on contracted murders of Justin Trudeau's fundraisers, Barry and Honey Sherman, set for March 26. Estate of Bernard Sherman and the trustees of the estate et al. V. Kevin Donovan, Ontario, civil. Now, I know you're saying, what is this? Well, Honey and Barry Sherman, they owned a company in Canada. I've seen, I mean, their drugs are everywhere. They're still out there, called Apotex, and it's a generic company. So once the patent has passed for a particular drug, then they have a patent for so many years. And then what happens is they it goes and, you know, anybody can replicate the drug and they make generics. Well, Apotex was a very, very large company and it made generic drugs. Well, I know a lot of people have said, well, they made hydroxychloroquine. Maybe that's why they were murdered. No, it isn't. It's interesting that, yes, they did make hydroxychloroquine, but they made all sorts of drugs that were generic. That's what they did. So anyway, they were involved with the Clintons. I know that. They were involved in Haiti to some extent. I know that. But they were also very, very large fundraisers of Trudeau. And their murders were all, you know, obviously contracted murders. I mean, they were found hanging. They had a home where it had like you know, the upstairs looked down, all the floors looked down in the middle, and it went down to the pool. Well, they were found hanging over the pool, both of them, and the police deemed it to be a suicide. Now, that makes absolutely no sense because you would need special equipment to even get up there. So yeah, that didn't happen. But there is now a court hearing, Supreme Court of Canada, and I don't know if I can make this bigger or not. It's the estate of Bernard Sherman and the trustees of the estate et al. Versus, estate of Bernard Sherman and the trustees of the estate versus Kevin Donovan, succession to Bernard Sherman. Then it's in French. Okay, but this has something to do with, hang on here. Let me see if I can find it because it does have something to do with Trudeau. Let me see. I'm going to have to look into this further because it does have something to do. This murder has something to do with Trudeau, and many have surmised that he is indeed involved in their murders. Not him personally, of course. He's not going to do it himself, just like the Clintons. They don't do any of their killing by themselves. They use other patsies to do it for them. So that is what this is about. And here, why Justin Trudeau got Supreme Court to review Ontario Court of Appeal judge order to unseal 2-year blanket seal of Barry and Honey Sherman, Justin Trudeau's 26th of August 2015 fundraisers, estate files to obstruct, pervert, or defeat the course of justice in a judicial proceeding. Yeah, and this is by the Press Corps, Canadian Press Corps, and it says that he got a Court of Appeal judge to unseal 2-year blanket seal of Barry and Honey Sherman, Justin Trudeau's 26 August 15th fundraisers, and they did hold a fundraiser on that date, August 26th of 2015, for Justin Trudeau. And so it says media wants Canadians to believe that LPC judge ordered seal pertains only to the estate of murdered Justin Trudeau election fundraisers, Barry and Honey Sherman. What's also under 2-year seal is entire Toronto police murder investigation evidence implicating Justin Trudeau and the RCMP. Now you know the rest of the story. Right. There you go. Now, this is the home, their home at the time, and I believe it has been torn down, which I find a little strange as well, because why would you tear down a home like that? Okay, yes, 2 people were murdered, but believe me, in Toronto's market, it would have sold. Definitely would have sold. So, yeah. Wonder what other evidence was there that they had to destroy. I don't know. But it's a very interesting. It's very interesting, and I'm following this because it seems to me that Justin has been wearing some ankle jewelry lately. Sure appears that way to me in his press conferences. He hasn't been at work. He's been working from home. I believe he may possibly be on house arrest. I can't prove that, but does look like he's wearing a ankle monitor in some of the press briefings. So there you go. All right. Interesting, interesting, interesting. And let's go on now. And I'm not gonna go to this. It's actually just Justin Trudeau saying that we can't return to normal until people have been more widely vaccinated. So that is what he's saying. You know, it falls in line with the whole agenda because he is very much a globalist, very much a globalist. And I'm telling you, I know that some of the lockdowns and everything in Canada are worse than what some places in the States are experiencing. Not Michigan, because Michigan has gone full on loco. Completely local. I feel so sorry for the people in Michigan. I really do. And our hearts and prayers go out to you guys in Michigan. Really, it's beyond draconian what they're doing. So I think your governor has a little bit of a